human suffering is the springboard of culture. And I think it is pain that works as the glue. As the politicians try to tear us apart and keep us apart for their self-aggrandizement, it is pain, the heritage of man, that keeps us together. That's why, as we celebrate 550 years of Guru Nanak Sahib, he said, Nanak dukhiya sab sansar. It's pain which is the glue which holds people together. And I think it's that that has brought this gathering here. It is that that has created such a phenomenal response for this book. It's already #1, I'm told. And I think just when we start feeling very dismissive about the times we live in, I think I'm very stunned by the generosity of people. The kind of responses Shaheen got just proves that human beings are very generous. And I was astounded by the kind of phenomenal feedback and the kind of abandon with which they bared their hearts just because of that interview, Barkha, that you did. So there's a world outside in this virtual age when we claim to be so fiercely connected and yet are so alone. There is this screaming evidence that we are just dying to reach out to each other. That's why there's a great share of Iqbal Sahib, कि फासला शिद्दते एहसास से कम होता है, एक ज़रा हाथ बढ़ा ले तो छू लूँ तुझको. बात ज़रा से हाथ बढ़ाने की है, and then you see how many hearts you touch. But as I conclude, I can go on and on. I remember that Sufi fakir I met on Mahim Dargah when I was 15. He said to me, Baba, ऊपर वाले से मांग, दुआ मांग कि या अल्लाह तकलीफ दे. तो ऐसे ये कौन सी दुआ है? इसे बेटा दर्द जगाता है. अगर दर्द जगाता नहीं तो तू रात को यहाँ पर सिगरेट ढूंढता हुआ यहाँ पर मस्जिद के पास घूमता नहीं होता. So I think it is pain that keeps us awake, and it's pain that made Shaheen put pen to paper. And as the great Dalai Lama said, that it's the human obstacles that bring out the gold from you. And I'm a proud father of 3 daughters and 1 son who was not here, I think. But I learn from my children. My children have taught me. Thank you, Shaheen, for teaching me. Teaching me that you did not let your pain go to waste. Thank you very much. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Okay, like I said, I've got my box of tissues with me, Papa. So I'd like to now call on stage the Bhatt family, my brilliant, beautiful sister, Pooja Bhatt, the creator of us, my mother, Soni Bhatt, and the woman of the moment, everybody, Shaheen Bhatt. Of course, Shaheen has said a lot about it, but what I find extremely personal, that she has actually included excerpts from her diary, right since the time she was 13 to now. And today we're going to read 2 of those excerpts, just Shaheen writing into her diary. And then we'll talk a little about it as a family and ask some important, relevant questions to each other. So I would like my mum to read the first entry of Shaheen as a 13-year-old, right, Shaheen? Yeah, as a 13-year-old Shaheen.
Just to say hello, everybody. Somebody else's glasses. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'll try. This is our life. And they were very scared that I shouldn't read this out because it's emotional on top of it. Nina, your glasses are really weird. Okay. Time, 9:35 p.m. Date, 6/2/2001. Dear Diary, Why do I even start off this way? I have a splitting headache. I could almost die from the pain. Today was a bad day. I woke up late and I hardly studied, but I went to the market in the morning since I had to buy pens for the exam. I didn't have much lunch. I spoke to Namita in the afternoon. Only spoke for about 15 minutes. I got sad after hanging up. In brackets, yep, again. I've got a lot on my mind these days. I feel isolated and separated from the world. No one sees me. I'm constantly at war with myself. I know it's very cliche, but that's the thing. I only feel like crying these days. I get sad very suddenly. I feel like I'm no good. I know I'm fat and I don't look good, and school worries me. I'm no good at maths or Hindi. I'm afraid I'm going to fail this year and then everyone will think I'm a loser. I think Mama and Papa also expect a lot from me. They keep telling me how bright I am and how I will do well. What if I don't live up to their expectations? I think of Alia and how good she is at everything she tries. She can make them proud. I can't. I'm not good enough. I'm not good at anything. I'm a loser and I don't like it. I wish life wasn't so hard. Is that it? Yeah.
Okay, so Shaheen, you remember this moment when you were writing this? Do you have like a idea or a sense of?
Yeah, kind of. Not exactly, but kind of. It was, obviously, it was during, just before exams. And yeah, I was feeling very inadequate, and I think that's how everything started for me, was just this overwhelming feeling of inadequacy that I had all the time. And I mean, it started as emptiness, which then flowered into this very all-pervasive inadequacy that just never went away, no matter what I did. It shadowed me everywhere, school, home, everything.
And I'm guessing this is very early on when you started feeling this way.
Yeah.
When you mentioned in this diary that you spoke to Namita, who is Shaheen's best friend, who's with us today. Did you mention did you tell Namita how you were feeling on the phone?
She was actually the only person I told, weirdly, because, I mean, that's the thing, I didn't know what it was at the time. It was just, I'm not feeling, I just cried all the time. So we would literally sit and cry together on the phone. She would sit and listen to me cry for like half an hour, 45 minutes at a time, and just be like, okay, you're done now? Okay, fine, I'll call you later. I have to go for dinner. My mom's yelling. So we'd just do that. Even in school, we'd go, like we had a ritual. We'd go sit outside during recess, sit together, listen to sad songs and cry together. That's just what we did. So it was just it was a general feeling of just, at that age, feeling very confused and lost and not understanding why I kept feeling like this and not knowing what to do with it.
So I have memories of you as when I was younger, the kind of person you were when we were kids, and suddenly something started changing. But I want to ask Mama, when did you notice, do you remember that time where you felt something was different? Did you think that she was just behaving maybe like a brat? Because I remember you used to come back home, used to try to wake her up in the morning and throw water on her face because she would refuse to go to school. And you would think, college or whatever. So, that, I mean, as a parent, you're also trying to make sure that your child is not, just being whatever, is like lying to you or something. When did you start noticing that there was some change?
I think this is the whole problem with this illness. It is so difficult to catch. You don't know when it starts. You don't know when. I really don't remember any one moment. I remember Shaheen becoming very quiet at around about the time she was about 13, 14, 15, which I assumed is very normal. I was also the same. I also used to cry at the drop of a hat when I was an adolescent. And any mother will think, okay, now it's adolescent, it's hormones. I used to tell her also, you feel emotional, whatever. But I don't remember that part. I remember much later than that, when she started having trouble getting out of bed in the morning. And that was actually due to the fact that she was not able to sleep in the night. So insomnia is one of the biggest I would say signs that something is very, very wrong. And when you have chronic insomnia and you literally don't sleep the whole night, I didn't even know this. I didn't know anything because Shaheen did not tell me. And this is something I want to say to everybody out there. Please, when you're suffering from something like this or you feel something's not right, please talk to your parents about it. And I want to tell parents also that they need to provide an environment wherein kids feel they can talk to their parents and not. I don't think we provided an environment where you felt you couldn't, but you still didn't. You know, that is the strange thing. So I didn't know for a long time. But I think when I finally started realizing something was not right, was when she actually came and told me. But before that, I had already told her, I said, Shaheen, if there's anything wrong and you think you need to go and see somebody, I will take you to somebody. But because I know my daughter, I know how stubborn she is. If I had said, come with me and I'm taking you tomorrow, she wouldn't have come. Or it would have been very difficult and she would have resisted everything. So I knew it had to come from her. So I said, when you're ready, I will take you to see somebody. Just tell me that.
Okay, 1 second. I just want
And
to...
it took 1 year. It took her 1 year to come to me.
I want to come back to the point you just said that she resisted. Shaheen, would you say out there for anybody who's watching this or who'll read whatever is written from today's event that it's normal to feel resistance to talk to people and to go out and get help? Like if somebody says, I think something's wrong with you, should we go talk to somebody? Do you feel like the resistance is a very normal, natural feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, first you have to accept that you feel like there's something wrong that you need to get help for, which initially I knew something was wrong, but I was very adamant that I figure out how to fix it myself because I thought it would make me, I thought I was a very self-aware, you know, intelligent, you know, well-read person who, like, what does it mean that I can't figure my own shit out? I should be able to, I should be able to figure this out by myself. And so, yeah, I resisted also. I didn't like the idea of going to a therapist. I didn't like the idea of meeting a therapist.
Why?
Because I was young and at that age, I honestly thought it meant that I'm crazy. I thought it meant that, okay, she's something wrong with her. She can't figure out her own brain. She need to go talk to somebody. Finally, when I realized it was completely out of my control, that's when I went and spoke to mom and I was like, listen, whatever I'm doing is not working. I can't fix it. This is not happening. So I need to see someone.
Papa, you've mentioned time and again when we've had conversations that you've kind of felt maybe you've been depressed all your life and you just never knew about it. You feel a sense of like a melancholic feeling. When you've read Shaheen's book, you heard her speak about, you know, the way she feels. Do you relate to it? And in what way do you relate to it?
I think when Shaheen, in 2007, when UG Krishnamurti was dying and I came back for the first time before I went back, I read out to her a very intense piece of what I felt with him because I was certain that he was going away. And he was the very breath of my existence and the bedrock on which the edifice called Mahesh Bhatt stood. And I remember at midnight after I came back and I read out to her the piece because I wanted to exhale. And she was hardly 18 or 19 and I read out to her and I could see that she inhaled me and she absorbed me and then she said to me, Daddy, your life is over. Because people spend a lifetime wanting to touch the peaks of the emotions that you have felt. And they don't come anywhere close to it. And she comforted me, but after she comforted me, I put my head to rest. It hit me that the very fact that she could understand meant that there was a landscape where she lived, that there was a quotient of pain that she had a reference point to. And she was just a child. That's when I felt that, like what I've written in the foreword, that it was Nietzsche who said that when somebody would not understand him, he would say, it's fine. It would only upset his intellectual vanity. But his heart would bleed when he would feel that, oh, this guy understands me or she understands me. That means the person has a reference. But I think Shaheen did tell me that it was because she found me the way I was, she could cope with the lows of life because she felt that, oh, my old man has been through this and he has survived. So I guess something may be right with me. That's what she said to me. And I think, yes, I have been, I think ever since I remember, I've been an insomniac. And I think I have lived with what is called functional depression. My alcohol abuse, my substance abuse was a part of self-medication till she cured me when she was born. And I think my children have inherited it. If I think Pooja hit the bottle at a stage of life, and it was because maybe she has that predisposition towards that depressed gene. And I think, yes, it's a biochemical disorder which is genetically passed on. And I think what is very important to say is that today, I sit down here, my heart goes back to 40 years ago when Parveen Babi spiraled into the abyss of madness, and there was ignorance about that thing called mental disorder. It was something that nobody would talk. I can never imagine that here in the entertainment world, you'll be sitting down and talking so candidly about something called the mood disorder, which is a biochemical disorder. So the larger issue I think we were discussing, Shaheen and me, is to use this platform to raise a larger issue that is psychiatry the way out, or it's a biochemical disorder that needs to be treated biologically. And I think the doctors need to come out clean. And I think people like Barkha must take up this job to crusade for this, that it's a biochemical disorder, it's an organism which is got a way of functioning. And with that organism, you want to fit the child into this brutal, sick world. And because he or she cannot fit in, you send them to the psychiatrist and want to fix them. So these are larger issues that the book has raised.
Okay. We're now going to read the next excerpt. I hope I'm saying that correctly, because I earlier called it expert. Excerpt, right? You know, when these very, very intelligent Bhartsan and I come and sit and speak. Anyway, this is a journal entry of this year, 2019. I'm not going to mention the age because Shaheen will kill me. But I wanted to read this out because I feel like it's very important to see how the words have changed as a 13-year-old Shaheen and as a Shaheen of this year, but the feeling stays. So this is 2nd of March, 2019. It's my birthday month. I'm coming undone. Slowly but surely, I'm coming undone. From the inside out, it's eating away at all that I am. It's turning my insides to mush. It's obscuring everything. I don't fit anywhere. I'm unstuck, untethered, adrift. Everything hurts. Everything still hurts. It was supposed to be better by now. Why does rock bottom go further down each time? Why does the worst always get worse? How am I here, no better off than I was at 13? I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm laughable, I'm empty, I'm useless, I'm a burden. I'm a waste of space, I'm unlovable, I'm selfish, I'm awful. I should not exist. Just some thoughts. This is where they all say it started. But she seemed fine, they all say. I don't know why I'm here anymore. I don't see the message. What am I missing? This makes less sense every day, every moment. Firstly, no, but I'm like, how are you so okay, like writing this and people reading? I don't understand. Like, this is like, how? Like, what were you thinking when you're like, okay, I'm going to put my pain out there for everybody to just read. And I have read out, this is the year your book, your book released last year. This is the year your paperback is coming out. It's such a big year for you. And you still say things like, I'm useless, I'm unlovable. I want to understand how you're feeling that way. And yeah, I want to understand it.
I don't understand it myself.
That's true.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. I've been talking to my friends about this. I've talked to you guys about it also. Weirdly, this has been one of the worst years of my life emotionally. Starting this year, it's been a place where I haven't been since I was 18. And again, it's like you're saying, this technically very nice things are happening to me right now. There are a lot of people, everyone I love is sitting, together here for me. But still, somehow, that's how I feel. And if I had an explanation, I would have a solution as well, which I don't.
But the fact that I'm asking you this question, I think it shows something that I'm living with you. I've still not been able to understand it. And I'm still saying things like, but things are going well. Which is a very common thing that people say, ke sab kuch to acha chal raha tha. She had everything. Or like you said, she was fine. She seemed fine. So what you're trying to say, Shaheen, is that when you feel that way, there's no understanding. It's just the feeling takes over everything that's happening.
I don't have a reason. I don't have a concrete reason for why I'm feeling this way. It's not like something happened. Somebody
Exactly.
said something to me yesterday, which is why I feel like this. I have psychological triggers now because it's been 20 years of doing this on and off. But I don't have something that happens to me on a single day which will plunge me into 3 months of feeling like this. I wake up and the weather is bad. And that's why I went to Pooja's house last week because I was like, I need to vent, I need to talk to somebody. And it's not even like I want to talk to you about everything. I was just telling her I'm feeling insecure, I'm feeling crappy, and I want to be able to say it. I'm done not saying it out loud because I feel like everyone's insecure and now nobody's saying it. And I'm feeling like there's something wrong with me because am I the only insecure person here? Everyone is, and I want to say it.
So I was going to come to Pooja actually. Pooja, you have always been extremely honest, vocal person about everything you feel. We all know if you feel something, you will say it. Like the way Shaheen has so brutally and so honestly said, and she just put it out there for everyone bare so they can just see it. You've had similar experiences in your life where you felt a certain way. Do you have the ability to also put it out there so bluntly to yourself and to the world?
Well, I think that it's a genetic flaw that we've inherited from our father, is that, you just say things as they are, not the way people expect you to say them. And I think the reason that you're so successful, my love, is because you have not inherited that exactly like me and Shaheen have, and you are able to separate the two. Because too much truth does not go down well in Bollywood. And we are living in a fake world full of appearances where people don't want you to say, I'm not okay. It's all surface. They don't give a damn whether you are a cocaine addict, whether you have an alcohol problem, whether you're taking sleeping pills. As long as you look okay and you show up and your waist size is a certain, circumference, it's all good because nobody cares what's happening on the inside. But I just want to go back to the day when my mother woke me up one afternoon and said, wake up, Pooja, you have a sister. And it was the 28th of November, and my father called her from the hospital when Soni gave birth to you. And it was a moment that I won't forget. And people might look at us and say that, oh, you guys are a very dysfunctional family, but I can assure you, our dysfunctionality is far more functional than most of your functionality. And I do know that this is one girl who, to be able to say that I'm not okay, is such a relief. And I remember you giving me this lesson when I was very young, and I was coming back from Goa, from a rave, and it was New Year's Eve, and everybody was feeling great revelry, and I was feeling damn low in the middle of all of that. And I called him, and I said that, I'm feeling almost suicidal. I just want to walk into the ocean and never come back. What will be lost to mankind? So he said, if you can say that, that means you're not going to do it. And then he said, do you remember Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall? I said, yes. So he says, Pooja, then Humpty Dumpty falls down, and then it's up to the king's horses and the king's men to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. It's not your problem, fall apart. So that's all I've continued to do all my life, is fall apart, and then pick up the pieces, and then fall apart, and pick up the pieces, and then strangely you get more solid. And I think the Japanese have a term for this, is when a piece of porcelain or something beautiful breaks, they actually fill the cracks with gold because they celebrate that brokenness. And I think that if we can, all of my father's greatest work has been stuff that's come out of his brokenness, supposedly. Whether it's Zakham, whether it's Taste of Life, whether it was Arth, anything, Saranj, never came from comfortable places. And I think that today to sit here with this brave young lady who I know is going to be my go-to person when this man is not on the planet anymore, only you. Because she's the only one who gives me that strength, is because she is one person who I can look at and say, you know what, Shaheen, pardon my French, I'm feeling fucked right now. And she said, it's okay, it's all good, it's all good, because I feel the same. So it's good, and I've rambled. But yeah, I think that whether it was the spiral into alcoholism and melancholy is one of my greatest friends. I don't try to run from that. I think happiness is overrated. I think people bullshit all the time. They're miserable inside. So when I'm miserable, I just say I am, and the feeling goes away. So just say it loud. Internal bleeding is more dangerous. Even joy becomes a burden when you can't laugh.
Says, soon you get used to the embarrassment of being yourself.
Yeah.
And you just stop trying too hard.
But I'm sorry to interrupt
When you throw the towel.
I must tell them the story. Remember that time when there was an unfortunate situation where there was a young lady who had killed herself. And we were all sitting at your home in Juhu. And Alia came in and she was like, what's going on? What's going on? I said, no, this has happened and somebody tried to kill themselves. I mean, they did kill themselves. So she said, oh God. And why would anyone do that? And then Shaheen said, well, I've contemplated suicide. And then I said, and so have I. And Alia was in the middle looking at Shaheen and looking at me and says, oh my God, what's going on? Both my sisters have tried to kill themselves or contemplated it. Remember that moment? So we had a great laugh about it and we're sitting right here. So we're
It's not funny. Not funny. Not funny for my insides. Mama, how do you feel when you read about like that day when we were at Barkha's show and Shaheen started speaking about how she was contemplating suicide a couple of months ago? I couldn't hold it in. I just went like that. What do you feel when you hear this, when she speaks about it? Like Papa said, okay, maybe the fact that you can say it, maybe that you'll never do it. But what do you feel like? I want to know what you feel like as a mother.
Well, obviously, terrified. I mean, if my daughter comes to me and says, I have tried this, and she came and told me many, many years later, so when she actually did try whatever she tried, I was completely unaware. And I think that's what actually has broken my heart, that I as a mother who's so all-pervasive, so loving, so vigilant, so, I didn't know. That has broken my heart. I mean, like, how did I not know? And when she told me many years later, I got frightened as a person, but that other mother in me came over that and just took over. And I went on autopilot and I said, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, I had to formulate a program so that my daughter could not do this again. And that's what I did. And as a mother, that's what I would do. But I have to say, obviously, when I saw Barkha's show and I was sitting there all alone in my flat in London, I wept buckets. Not because this was a new thing that I was hearing, just because the show was, it just came from such a pure place in the heart, and there was nothing that was held back, and it just reached out and flew all those miles across the universe to anybody who was watching it, I think. And I think that's really, I mean, I don't want to even call it an achievement. I just think it's just so wonderful, because this is high time that we brought this conversation out into the universe, and we made it normal to talk about, and we made it honest, and we need to do it. It's very, very, very much the need of the hour.
There are no happy endings.
Well, yeah, I suppose there is a reference point in my life. Cousin was a brilliant artist. He was all of 23 years old. He was studying in London. He had a bright future ahead of him, but he was very depressed. Nobody knew it. Nobody in the family knew it. I think his friends knew it. He had tried to commit suicide on a couple of occasions, and they had seen him, and these usual things. You go to a party and see somebody sitting on the roof of some ledge or something and say, come down, and don't go and tell the parents anything, and don't go and tell anybody anything, and laugh it off and drink some more. And that's exactly what happened. And finally, one day, he walked in to his house after a party at 2 a.m. in the morning, and right in front of his mother, he jumped out of the 6th floor window. And that, I had just come back. I was studying in London. I had just come back then 2 nights before and was going to go back in 3 weeks. I couldn't leave. I took 3 months to go back again. And it really shattered me. It was something that, it just, you know, it is just so unfathomable that anybody who's got the future ahead of them in any which way can actually take such a drastic step. And it was just something that shattered our whole family. So yeah, I just want to say that that's a reference point I have in my own family. So obviously, it's not new in that sense, but it was terrifying to know that your daughter would think of it also. Yeah, what to say?
But she says that she thinks of it, but she doesn't think she'll ever do it.
No, I'm quite secure in the knowledge that I won't. It's exactly what Pooja said, what Papa said. If you can talk about it,
Absolutely.
you're okay. Yeah.
It's very important to talk about it. Okay, so we are now going to take some questions from the media, if there is any. If anybody has any questions. Nobody wants to ask a question?
I'll get it to you.
I remember it well. हाय आलिया, फैजान दिस फ्रॉम न्यूज़ हेल्पलाइन। मेरा सवाल आपसे है, पर्सनली आप क्या सोचती हैं डिप्रेशन के बारे में? व्हाट्स योर पर्सनल व्यूज ऑन डिप्रेशन?
आप प्लीज बुक पढ़िए। मेरे पर्सनल व्यूज सिर्फ मेरी बहन के जरिए है, और मैं बस यही कहना चाहूँगी कि इवन एज अ सिस्टर हुज लाइक, जैसे मैंने पहले ही कहा था, हुज लिव्ड विद शाहीन फॉर 26 years, मैं भी अभी समझी हूँ what she feels. मैं उससे, how do I respond to her, what I could have done better, what I can do better, which I will also ask you at some point, Shaheen, that it's very important that you tell everybody sitting on the stage what we could have done better or what we can do in the future for you. But this book is for everyone. People who know people who are depressed, people who have been depressed, people who have never been depressed. It's for everyone, and you will understand a lot. Please start book padhiye.
If I okay. To say something, I think the most important thing that you can do, correct me if I'm wrong, is that never ask somebody why they are depressed. Why? You have everything. There's a fallacy that ये तो बहुत ही रईस लोगों की बीमारी है, कि you have the luxury of being depressed. Not true. So that is that misconception needs to be erased generally.
Shaheen was telling me that India is the most...
very important point to make. I think what is very important from Shaheen's book is it's not a happy ending. There's no happy ending. She says, I still go to the throes of depression. And just 6 months back, she had this kind of very dark space where she went to. So I would say that first of all, let us as a society be brave enough to say we don't have answers. Neither do the medical practitioners have the answers. I think the National Institute of Mental Health needs to be asked a question. Is it a psychobiological problem? So then stop this nonsense of psychiatry and healing through words. I have a headache, you can't cure me with talking to me. If diabetes is a biological problem, you need a physical intervention. So I'm asking, I don't know. She's decorous enough to say, I'm 71, she's 30. We don't know. It's not an academic book. It's a journey of a woman who is writing about those harrowing days. And she says, this is what I went through. Maybe you've gone through the whole thing. I don't have answers. I have coped with it, and I'm certain that if she has coped with it, even you will. So I think as a society, let us sit down, जैसे कि भैया घर वाले बैठते हैं और बिरादरी में बैठते हैं कि भैया कि हमको ऐसा महसूस हुआ क्या इसका, तो बोलता बेटा ये ट्राई कर ले शायद ये काम आ जाए.
So according to me, my answer is that Shaheen, you get used to being in the company of yourself.
No, but I think what's important, Papa, which is exactly what my sister said, that I want to show us sitting together as a family, talking about it. This whole thing, "Arey, is baat mat karo." Put it in your mind. That's something that she was very clear. I want people to feel like it's okay to talk about it and it's important to talk about it. So that's why we are doing this. We are not, we can sit this, have this conversation at home as well, and we've all had it in our individual capacity.
Which is why most people need to go out there for help, because they do not have real conversations on their own dining tables with their very own. You cannot share with your mother and your father what you should be sharing, and you go to your neighbor's house, then there's a failure in parenting somewhere. I'm just glad that I have born to people and have a family where I can come home and I can kind of bare my soul, good, bad or ugly, and that has kept me going. So I think that's what we need to be, is listen to each other more. Don't have these expectations of each other and then say that, you know what, the brushing under the carpet is going to go away, go take a pill, it's going to go away. No, we're living in a sick society to begin with. It's not a pleasant world to live in right now. You can't be happy with the way things are. If you are, you're brain dead. And Shaheen has always been somebody, from the time she was a child, she looked at life very intensely. She always kind of heard more, she saw more. The frivolity of life was not what appeased her. So if she feels this way, it's because there's something wrong with the world also. And you can't fix it. Which is why I used to drink, because you can't fix the world, you try to numb yourself. So the thing is that I feel that somewhere we need to talk more, we need to share more, we need to judge less. That's very important.
And also, I just feel that, just to add to what Pooja is saying, that sometimes you might have the best parents in the world, but they won't be able to help you. They will be helpless because you say this, I feel this, and you just don't know what to do. You don't know how to help someone. Hence, you do need a trained person to guide you through a certain way of tackling this. Am I right, Shaheen?
Maybe you can.
No, absolutely. But also that's the thing. I think this is what I've said in the book as well. We're kind of in the middle ages of psychiatric medicine and just our understanding of the human mind. We don't know where human consciousness comes from. We don't know why we think the way we think, why we are walking, talking, breathing people the way we are. And as a result of that, psychiatric science is also kind of in its very early days. We're very far along from what we were a few years ago, 20 years ago, but we're still figuring it out. Even therapy, going to a psychiatrist, it's like being, for them, it's like being detectives as well as being doctors, because they have to figure out there's so many different reasons, biological reasons that one could feel this way. It then becomes psychological. So I think it's one of those things you need to do it in conjunction with somebody who you feel can help you and guide you, like anything else, really. Okay, we have some time for two more questions. Kanchi.
It's for Shaheen. So there are people who, for the lack of a better word, were not strong enough to cope with their depression. So for people who've been in their life, they look behind and they wonder what they could have done differently. And I know Alia struggles with that too, with you. Like, do you leave a person or do you tread lightly? Are you meant to be intrusive? You don't know the right way. Is there?
And it's also, everybody's different on a day-to-day basis. There are days I desperately want someone to talk to. There are days, if somebody asks me a question, it makes me feel worse. Having to answer how are you feeling makes me feel worse. There are, it just varies from day to day, but I mean, this is something that I said earlier also. I think what really helps is to have someone to talk to who can contain what you have to say, who can tolerate what you have to say. I'm very lucky I have friends that encourage me to talk to them, and their responses are always that of being able to contain what I have to say. They don't get overly flustered or emotional about it, and so as a result I'm able to just be myself without the guilt of feeling like I'm making them feel bad or I'm making them worry. So I'm very lucky that I have that in my life. I have people that I can talk to quite easily. So I think the only thing, and that's also where my father helped me, which is he was the place where I went to who could tolerate what, so if I said, Papa, I'm feeling like I don't want to be here anymore, he's like, yeah beta, I understand, it's horrible. I've been there. It's not, oh my God, what are we going to do? He's sitting there and he's listening to me and he's saying, I get it. And as a result of that, I feel like I have somewhere where I can go, where it can be, where it's a safe space that somebody can hold it. So that's the only thing I feel has really helped me.
And I think it's important to face one thing, that only the courageous people have the ability to stay vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, life touches you. People who are egoistic are frightened of being vulnerable. That's why they create these defenses. I think that's what it's all about. And all great art, music, great writing, it's only when Shaheen got completely vulnerable, she could write like this. And you don't have answers. And the ability to listen. I think the most important thing what Shaheen said was about her friend, Namita, that she would just call up and she would cry. And then after half an hour she said, are you done with crying? The very fact that somebody across the line listening to you as you cry.
So you don't really want answers?
No, there are no answers. There are pretenders who claim to have answers. And they institutionalize all those answers. And they impose those answers with the butt end of a gun. Or make it a religion. There are no answers.
I warned you this is going to happen.
Mankind doesn't have answers. You bullshit to your children. You don't follow the things that you pretend to preach to them. They see it. I have never pretended to my children that I was in possession of the virtues that people flaunt. That's why they feel that they are not misfits with me. I am a misfit at 71. I can't expect a young little girl to fit into the sick world where brutality is legitimized. So nothing is wrong with you, darling. Nothing is wrong with you. The psychiatrist wants to fit you into this brutal world. He is more sick.
Papa. And small talk is for the small, so for the very small. You don't have that chip, no? No. Okay, one more question. And Papa's not allowed to talk. You are not allowed to talk now. One more question, please. No. A nice question. No.
Now you want normal conversation.
Nobody wants to ask me. It's great, then we'll move on. We're very happy to. Okay, cool. Done. So now I just want to congratulate you, you brave young woman, because I think the most important thing that Shaheen does, like somebody on my set the other day, I'm actually acting after I don't know how many years again, but came to me and they said, oh, your sister. And I presumed that they were going, about Alia. And they were like, no, your sister Shaheen is so courageous. I said, why? What happened? We saw her interview and please thank her for normalizing what we try to gloss over all the time in this business that we are in. So everybody's depressed. She has had the courage to say that she is, and she's given everyone a signal that you're not alone. Okay, before we exit, and Shaheen wants to say something, we did not launch the book. So you did not launch the book. So this is the moment, guys.
Everybody? First open. बजाओ ना नहीं आया नहीं लग रहा है पापा बजाओ सीटी
Can we also have the Penguin team on stage, please?
आप लोग पूरा दिखाना हमने जो भी बात किया है
ओ दादा स्टिल दादा अरे दादा थोड़ा नीचे बैठो अभी
Thank you. Shaheen would like to say a few words, Papa. No, you can sit.
I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank Landmark for hosting this lovely event. I want to thank everyone from Penguin, Gurveen, Devangana, Preeti. Thank you so much for everything. And literally every single person in this room right now is someone that I deeply care about, which is why I'm here. Thank you for
Coming and not making this horribly uncomfortable for me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much.
you.